The Xiaomi 12 series devices were the first smartphones to hit mainland China shelves in 2022, and after 3 months of optimizations and preparations, they have finally arrived in the global market. And today, I have with me the highest end global version, the Xiaomi 12 Pro. The Xiaomi 12 Pro is not only the world's first mass-produced smartphone to use Sony's new IMX707 main camera sensor, but Xiaomi's first globally released smartphone to make use of Qualcomm's new 4nm run Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset, as well as a low-temperature polycrystalline oxide display that can dynamically refresh between 1 and 120 Hz. Protecting that display is Gorilla Glass Victus. Supporting the new 50MP Sony main sensor are 2 additional 50MP cameras for ultra-wide and zoomed shots, and keeping things running is a 4600 mAh battery, which can be filled up with either 120W wired or 50W wireless charging. In the box, we are treated to a silicon case, a Type A to Type C charging cable, and a massive 120W hypercharger. This is Technic, and this is my unboxing and review of the global Xiaomi 12 Pro. The Xiaomi 12 Pro comes in 3 different color variants, no fancy names yet, just blue, purple, or the color that I have, which is known as gray, which looks pretty much like matte black if you ask me, but a more subtle like black, pretty much a gray I guess you could say. Very dark gray that is, however. It looks superb, very sleek, kind of ninja-like, I really like it. I have a 4600 mAh battery under the hood, 120W wide charging, 50W wireless charging, Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset, LPDDR5 RAM, UFS 3.1 storage, but unfortunately no IP68 dust and water certification. The front panel is protected by Gorilla Glass Victus. We have a Gorilla Glass back, and sandwiched in the middle is an aluminum frame. Inside that newly designed camera module sits 3 50MP snappers, an ultra-wide, a main, and a 2x optical zoom telephoto lens. The ultra-wide shot looks absolutely phenomenal, but binning it down to 12.5 looks even better thanks to AI. 50MP main over here, once again, out of this world insane. 12.5 binning down, 4:1 pixel binning, looks even better. 2x optical zoom looks great, and binning that one down as well looks better, once again, because of AI. If you guys do want a more in-depth camera review on this device, I did actually do a very detailed full review on the Chinese version of the Xiaomi 12 Pro, which is the exact same device, by the way, aside from the global software. Of course, we have portrait mode, which looks fantastic as well. We do have 8K video, though at 24 frames per second. It's a bit stuttery, better if you stand still. It still looks a hell of a lot better than other smartphones that can record 8K. However, we have 4K 60 FPS using the main sensor, which looks absolutely stunning, super silky smooth, pretty much no stabilization issues whatsoever over here. And when it comes to ultra wide, things are going up a tad notch even more, because this also has 4K 60 FPS with the ultra wide sensor. 4K 60 ultra wide at night doesn't look the best, but it's an ultra wide camera shooting at night, so it never really does. It looks better than other phones I've seen record at 60 FPS using the ultra wide at night. Dropping it down to 30 brightens things up, but loses some of the detail, just like we see with every other smartphone around. We have 4K 30 FPS using the main sensor at night, of course. We can also switch this to 60, but 30 is nice and bright. And switching it to 60, as you can see, there's a lot more detail. It actually looks like it's a nighttime, and it's a hell of a lot smoother. I think 4K 60 FPS is actually becoming something that you can use when recording video at night with the main cam. We do have night video on the right hand side, and it literally has a difference of day and night. It looks phenomenal, but loses some detail over there. And taking photos at night, we have the ultra wide sensor, all of these binned with night mode on, looks fantastic. Night mode off on the main. You can see it still picks up a lot of detail, drops a bit of detail with night mode on, but brightens things up quite a bit. 2x optical zoom over here using the telephoto lens with night mode off and night mode on. Night mode off, I feel like once you start zooming in, night mode off is better. It doesn't need to be too bright when you're zooming in anyway, since there's already a lot of light around the subject that you're zooming into. So I would keep night mode off when zooming in. It's a pity there's no periscope zoom sensor, but all in all, this camera setup is one of the best I've seen around. We have a power button on the right hand side, as well as a non-split volume rocker. At the bottom, we have a dual SIM 5G tray. Unfortunately, no expandable storage over here. And though we do have a water resistant seal, there is no official IP certification. USB 2.0 at the bottom. We have quad speakers, Harman Kardon speakers that is. 2 main speakers, one at the bottom, one at the top, and 2 tweeters, one at the bottom, one at the top. We have an IR blaster And at the top front of the display, we have a 32 megapixel selfie camera. These selfies come out super crisp and clear, packed with detail and great lighting, and the portrait mode is pretty fantastic even in terms of edge detection.
Yo, what's up guys, this is TechNick recording a 1080p at 60 FPS video. Yes, you can go all the way up to 60 FPS video on the brand new Xiaomi 12 Pro. Now this is the global variant of the phone. Unfortunately there is still no 4K selfie video option, but 1080p 60 FPS is still super crisp and clear and buttery smooth. Let me know what you guys think of the audio and video quality when recording on the global version of the Xiaomi 12 Pro when using the selfie cam.
It would have been nice to have a 4K option with the selfie cam, but 1080p 60 is still great. Taking 1080p 60 at night, not the best. However, we can switch to 30 FPS. Once again, things are a lot brighter, but takes away quite a bit of the detail. Taking photos at night, night mode off, looks alright. Night mode on, actually looks quite a bit better, though it's beautifying my face even though it's off. There's no night mode for portrait mode, but it looks okay. And the flash mode on for portrait mode is arguably the best option. The selfie camera is a bit of a mixed bag. It takes superb video and superb daytime photos, but not the best evening selfies. Turning on the phone and getting to that under display fingerprint sensor, which is optical of course. We do have the super wallpapers, which we've come to know and love. And we also have 2D face unlock, though this does use the selfie camera. On the front, we have a 6.73 inch E5 AMOLED display, which is of course curved. It has 1 billion colors. It is 10-bit, supports HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision content. It has 112% DCI-P3 and 140% sRGB color gamut rating and 1500 nits of max brightness. It is of course a WQHD Plus display with a pixels per inch of 521, and it can refresh between 1 and 120 Hz. But if you'd like to choose a custom refresh rate, you can choose between a fixed 60, 90 or 120 Hz option. The 1 to 120 Hz refresh rate makes sure that you are stuck to 1 when viewing an image and hitting 120 when you're scrolling around. And of course, let's not forget about that 480 Hz touch sampling rate. We do have MIUI 13. It is a stable global version, skinned over Android 12 over here. It looks largely similar to the domestic Chinese version, though we do have Google Discover on the left-hand side, as well as Google Assistant and Google Play Store pre-installed in the device, which is fantastic. We have all the features that we've come to know and love, plus some new optimizations, which is great. We have 12 gigs of LPDDR5 RAM, and we do have something called a RAM extension to further that up to 15 gigs, and powering the device is Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset run on 4nm process node technology, and when pairing that with the new performance mode option within the battery settings, yields an AnTuTu version 9 score of 997,655 points. But when it comes to Geekbench, it got a higher single core score and multi-core score when compared to the average Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 on my channel. However, when we come to 3D Mark Wildlife, it has one of the lowest scores, but it is still quite a bit better than last year's model. That being said, this chipset is for more than just benchmarks. We're gonna enable a frame rate monitor tool within developer options, which you only really see on Xiaomi devices, and we're gonna head into Genshin Impact to test out our first game, making sure we are maxed out in terms of settings and our game turbo performance mode option is on. We managed to get a frame rate somewhere between 26 and 45, that being the min and the max in terms of FPS, which is okay. The average Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 powered smartphone on my channel gets between 34 and 58. So I guess you could say it's roughly similar, though it's a bit on the low end. It has a lower min and a lower max FPS over here. It's still nice and smooth and didn't get too hot. And jumping into Bullet Force over here, which has an unlimited frames per second cap and can reach up to the display's refresh rate, which is actually 120 Hz over here, managed to get a frame rate of as low as 119 and as high as 122, which is quite a bit more stable than the average Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 phone on my channel, which gets between 113 and 122. But what about that Harman Kardon tuned quad speaker system? Let's go ahead and give it a listen. The Xiaomi 12 Pro is a serious step up in terms of Xiaomi global presence. It has better optimized software, more than decent benchmark scores in gaming performance thanks to its new Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset. It has faster LPDDR5 RAM, an improved cooling system, a new quad speaker setup, and an extremely bright and colorful 6.73-inch E5 AMOLED display, which can refresh between 1 and 120 Hz thanks to LTPO 2.0 technology. It has one of the best smartphone designs I have ever seen thanks to its sleek look and frosted glass finish. Its elegant looking camera module houses a triple 50 megapixel camera setup which takes superb photos and videos in all different focal lengths and lighting conditions. And to keep everything going is a 4600 mAh battery which can be juiced up with either 120 watt wired or 50 watt wireless charging, making it easy for me to recommend the Xiaomi 12 Pro as a contender for one of the best flagship smartphones ever made. For a more detailed review on the device, be sure to check out my full review of the Chinese version which I posted a few months back. This is TechNick and I'll catch you in the next one.